or actually this one's under tension, this one is not under tension anymore. So this one kind of unsprung, and that unsprung weight somehow made this bend here. So look at this. Look at this failure point here. Look at the rusting that happened all up through here. This is just poor. We did buy this car new. These are OEM parts. We never had anything swapped out. But when you see the failure on this strut, it make us wonder what happened with the quality control on this part, as well as the quality assurance. All right, so we got our new part in. This is a TRQ version of the strut that goes to the 2013 RX. And after much deliberation on the internet, we chose to go with this price point plus quality. We'll see if it turns out. There's been some questions on ride quality with these in general. Maybe the quick strut. This is not a quick strut. This is a direct replacement. But we at least got the part. We're going to start with the left one first, and then we're going to go to the right one probably at a later date. But we definitely need to get this left one off. Let's see what's in the box. This is what the strut assembly looks like. There's the part number. And the packing list. Let's see what we got. Instructions and precautions. Okay. The first hope I have is that we've got the correct part. The second hope I have is that I've got the correct tools. There's one bit in particular that I think I'll need, and that's the axle nut remover for here. We'll see. I've got a set, but it may not be right. But to help us out, we're going to be using TRQ's how-to on YouTube. Wheel is off, and what the first thing we'll notice is that there's a lot of rust on this. Being that it's OEM and it's from day one, you expect a lot of this. We do live in the Northeast, but we don't keep our cars outside. We clean them regularly, and so this is what you can expect the strut to look like after more than a decade, right? So we've got a boot failure. But what's the most interesting failure is this. This collar has bent down and cracked. And in doing so, it now rides very close to where the tire's profile is. And that doesn't make any sense. Now the car still operates just fine. But it has a lack of performance with this front left strut. We're going to take it off, replace it. I may have an issue with this bit here. I'll have to go get it probably, but I think I've got one that fits. But this has never been taken apart, so let's see if we can actually do it with what we have in the video. So back to the part. I expect some, ripping here. That's fine, I understand that, but it only ripped because it was pulled down when this failed. Let me take a better profile of this. So if you look at this, it's dipping down here. Go to the new part. All right. In the same aspect, this actually should be sitting up. See that? This is pointing more so in a parallel to the ground fashion, and perhaps a little bit of a angle up from the ground. Hard to believe that failed like that. Again, we're here. So we'll look more at it when we take it off. Let's get to taking it off. Over to Harbor Freight, looking for a 30mm socket, axle socket. It seems like they've got one that is exactly labeled what it should be. Front wheel drive axle lock nut socket set. Guess we'll be taking that one. Not liking the price, maybe there's a good one. While I'm at it, I'm gonna have to bite the bullet and get a torque wrench. Been staying away from this for a while, but it looks like it's time to go. We'll go digital, see how well that works. It's 250. All right, had to make a quick trip back to a store. I actually went to AutoZone this time instead to get the correct axle socket set. It has to have a certain pattern, and the pattern is, I'd say it's called a flower or the burst star. And the set that I got from Harbor Freight did not. So here we are back, getting back. We've taken out this. We were able to get these out, and in doing so, with just a little persuasion of a, let's see here, the attachment bar to the jack that I've got usually gives me a lot of leverage in most of the car applications that I use it for, and it worked again in this case. And so simply attach this to the back end of this using a 7/8 on both sides, and was able to get both of those out. The last thing I need to do is this axle nut and then come back to this. This kept spinning on me, so I went ahead and bought a new vice grip as prescribed by the video over there. And we'll be able to get this off here soon, I hope. So the last two things, axle nut and then strut fastener here. All right, so quick update. The problem I'm having with this is that this assembly here is locked up, and I'm using some heat with a propane tank to try to loosen this up. These are moving together as an assembly, and I'm not sure exactly what the deal is. Looking on the video, this is separate from here. This is all rusted together apparently. This is just a very poor product. It just is. We're Toyota fans. We buy a lot of Toyota cars, if not all. This is just really bad. So, gotta figure this part out. This is the last part we have. Look at it that way. Okay, so we got the bad one out, and here's the new one. We've got a side-by-side comparison to see how similar they are versus not. Let's see where the failure is. So the colors kind of align, but let me get this in the same order as things shift. So those two, this is probably about right. All right. So we have that color's in good shape, or this assembly point here. Okay, so they're pretty much lined up. They look to be lined up now with the bolts. This angle seems to match well, so the top assembly-ish parts seem to be fine. As we go down, let's see here. We see that we have more spring here. Or actually, this one's under tension. This one is not under tension anymore. So this one kind of unsprung, and that unsprung weight somehow made this bend here. So look at this. Look at this failure point here. Look at the rusting that happened all up through here. This is just, when it's in the snow, it comes into the garage. It gets washed all the time. And now that has something to do with it, I get it. But this is what it should look like. And here's where it's failed. And you got tons and tons of rust through it. These assembly points look similar, and so this should go back in just fine. This is in fact the right part, and it looks to be a direct replica TRQ. Nice job. So Wow, that's ridiculous. Well, folks, this is the biggest gotcha for all of this work that I've done. I want to point out that this single bolt that built up all the rust at the end of it took a lot of effort and time to get it off, which this could have been easily under an hour effort. Turned out to be more than an hour effort, so I can figure out what to do here. Did I need heat? Actually, I think I needed some heat, but mostly to get rid of the rust that's at the end of this bolt. I'm doing so using my drill and this wire brush bit, and it worked just fine, so that I can ensure for future work I can get this part off if I need to do anything further. Now we can move forward with assembly, and I'm going to use this 250 foot-pound torque wrench. Well, since we have an open quick product review, looks like it's simple to use, on-off button, up and down arrows, pretty simple. Actually using it, I'm going to dial this down from 250 to the 214 torque setting that is suggested by the instructions for replacing this front strut assembly from TRQ. Simply hit the down arrow, up arrow till I get it. And finally, as I get to the end of this, you can see that I'm torquing it into the appropriate torque setting. And I love that I get to see digitally where it is before I hear the audible of a beep. I'm really appreciating this new tool at this point. Well, to review what it took to get it done, I had to focus on the ABS sensor screw, simple to take care of. I had to focus on the 2 bolts for the strut assembly into the brake assembly. I had to focus on that horrible part to where that bolt was stuck because of the rust on it. And I didn't have to deal with this. This was something I didn't have to do. It was in the instructions in the video, but I didn't need it. I wasted time on getting 2 different tool sets at 2 different places, but don't really care. But finally, it's these 3 bolts at the top that really are important. I had to get those set into place, and upon assembly, you kind of get those in place first, very loosely, and then you can get the rest of the strut assembly sorted out. Of course, these have to be torqued to their value. I believe is at around 60 foot-pound for each. It's in the instructions, but the effort was simple. Well, just to show you the parts they said I needed in the video to get this done that I didn't use would be these 2 sets. I got them from AutoZone. Look like really good parts, but this is what you would have needed. Just didn't need it now. Well, let's focus on what does it look like with the part that isn't failed, the gap and the travel space between the tire and the assembly. There's tons of space here, as you can see. So now we can move forward knowing that we're safe and comfortable. A quick check behind the tire with the tires on shows the assembly right in place. I just wondered what it looked like, and I thought I'd show the folks what it does look like with the tire on. I just feel comfortable knowing that I can see this and show it to you folks. So now we move forward. There's nothing else to do other than take it out for a test drive. And I'll probably be able to get to that in a week or so. It's been about a week since I replaced the front strut assemblies, and I'm finally having an opportunity to shake it down. And I've been driving it for about 20 miles, and I'm happy to say that I don't feel much of a difference from what the OEM front struts felt like compared to the TRQ replacements here. And I can't say I really care that if they were slightly different in feel. Really the goal here was to replace them on a budget so I can maintain this car for as long as I possibly can. So this is 2013, but we got it at the end of 2012 as they released the new model year. And currently it has about 157,000 miles on it, and it is still going strong, given all these years. So keeping this car is important to me because I've got lots of equity in it. Speaking of equity, that's exactly why we did this job at home, and we looked for bargain parts versus going OEM and then paying the labor on top of that, because potentially the labor and some of these things to get done would outvalue the actual value of the car. I'm not into that. Neither should you be. So I'm happy to report TRQ. Great job. And the effort was worth it. And if we didn't know, we definitely found out. And if we're lucky, you'll join us again. Thank you.